Pokémon Sword and Shield, Generation 8. The transition of the main series from being purely handheld to the hybrid home console. Hey there, I'm Matt, also known as the Gaming Rebel, and this is my thoughts on Pokémon Sword and Shield. Now, while I did say after my last MTO that I was going to do one that was not so negative, I wanted to get this idea out since it's already nearing the launch date of the next part of the main series. Plus, the previous idea I wanted to do is taking too long to complete, and I lack the time needed to acquire everything for it right now, so I've postponed that one for the next MTO. Now, before I begin this one, I'd like to make a disclaimer here. All footage coming from Sword and Shield is not my own. It belongs to Nintendo and the Pokémon Company. As to avoid copyright issues as best I can, all Sword and Shield footage will have a slight hue adjustment. However, there will also be some footage from Ultra Sun mixed in at some points in the video. That footage will be of my own recording thanks to having acquired a modified new Nintendo 3DS XL some time ago. Finally, if you enjoy the series and would like to support it and future videos, please consider liking, subscribing, and even supporting me through sites like Ko-fi. Supporting me through donations not only super motivates me and lands you in a donation section in my videos, but with bigger donations comes rewards like drawing requests from sketches to full digital artworks. It's up to you though, getting views and comments are okay too. So, let's begin! Starting from the first Nintendo Direct reveal, a lot of people, myself included, were pretty excited to see the main series continued on the Switch. New region, new Pokemon, and a partial return to the original formula that everyone missed in Alola. I really didn't think swapping gyms for trials was a bad idea. It actually felt like a fresh new concept that didn't disappoint, and those Totem Pokemon did bring quite the challenge. But with Sword and Shield, they're not only returning to gyms, they're taking the formula and greatly expanding on it in ways never really done before due to the technical limitations of handheld consoles. While I do see this as a pretty big step forward for the main series, some problems are going to arise, and some things aren't going to really be well received given how fan bases get these days over anything. I think you know where I'm going with this. Yeah, I'm talking about the whole controversy regarding stuff not being included, from the discontinuation of Mega Evolutions and Z moves, to the obvious one, Pokemon being excluded completely from the games. This was going to happen eventually, but I might as well try to get out where I stand in terms of the exclusion of some of the 800 plus different kinds of Pokemon. First off, as stated, this was bound to happen at some point. Not counting regional variants, there are now over 800 kinds of Pokemon, and including the new ones being introduced will most likely push it to over 850 kinds or more. With gender differences, regional variants, shinies, and more, there would be well over 2,000 different models of Pokemon to code and animate. Not only that, but with over 850 different species of Pokemon, it would take way too much time and effort to complete a national Pokédex. In fact, the national dex ended after Gen 6 with X and Y. Sun and Moon, as well as their Ultra remakes, do not have a national Pokédex at all. So, the whole bring back the national dex meme was dead before it even started. I bet most people spamming that pathetic meme don't even know this. Moving away from that, and to the other exclusions, I can understand why these were removed too. I did enjoy Mega Evolution, mostly because some of my favorites like Lucario got Megas, but certain ones were just way too good for balanced gameplay. Examples being Mega Rayquaza, Charizard X, and the obvious, Mega Kangaskhan. I really wish that in Sun and Moon, more Megas were introduced because there were way too many overshadowed Pokemon that did not get a Mega. But a more fair and less discriminately alternative was made with the Alola Z moves. While some were still Pokemon exclusive, Z crystals were dependent on moves instead, as well as what type those moves were in order to use them. Plus, they were usable by any Pokemon. These I can understand being removed for two reasons. First, the lore behind them, as Megas came from Kalos and Z moves from Alola. And second, how they can unbalance or change the gameplay since they're super powerful abilities when used. Not that the new Dynamax gimmick is that different. In fact, thinking about it now, the Dynamax and Gigantamax mechanic feels a lot like combining the two into something new, by both transforming the Pokemon and giving it a crazy powerful attack. Still, from a lore and mechanical POV, I can see why they aren't coming back for Sword and Shield. Back to the exclusion of Pokemon, there was one factor that came up, which was the straw that broke the Numel's back. That was the estimated file size of the games. By now, everyone knows that Switch cards can hold up to 32 gigabytes, although some games are made with cards that don't hold as much. Pokemon Sword and Shield are currently estimated at 9.5 gigabytes. In other words, a game this big takes up just under a third of the max capacity. If a 32 gig card was used for the games, they'd have around 20 gigs left of free space. What do you think all that extra space could be used for? I think you all know the answer here. More Pokemon models. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon had around 3.6 gigs and over 800 different Pokemon, even if it did have a smaller region with Alola. But this isn't the 3DS anymore. This is on the Switch. What I'm saying is that I'm in between this whole controversy, but I'm a bit leaning more towards the side of wanting every Pokemon back. Or at least most of them. I'm just not going as far as flipping out a Game Freak over the exclusions and shouting bad memes or bullying them on social media about it. You know, doing those things I brought up in the last MTO that show just how far the gaming community will sink in order to get what they want. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, let's go over a few more things before I close this video off. We have not heard much of any other major details such as the gyms and Pokemon League, and how they're all big stadiums. But then we have camping? Apparently you can camp out and have curry with your Pokemon. Well, that's a replacement of Pokemon being refreshed from the last 2 gens right there. As for the curry part, does it give, like, temporary stat boosts or something? And why just curry anyway? I don't get it. With all the ingredients and berries you can acquire, you can make more than just curry. So, we have big gyms, camping, the wild area which is supposed to be nearly as big as 2 regions from Breath of the Wild, and oh yeah, the bad guys, also known as Team Yell. The Grunts look like Team Skull if they were major sports fans instead of just punks. But, and I kid you not, they also remind me of those outraged fans who went into a total riot when Vancouver lost the Stanley Cup Finals. You guys remember that at all? Yeah, they remind me of those types of fans. The ones who get nasty over anything. Like their team losing, or someone else cheering for their opponent, to the point of harassment or even violence. Makes me wonder, just what is their true motive in supporting the mysterious Marnie? And what her intentions really are for competing in the Pokemon League. With that, I think I've covered enough of how I feel with Pokemon Sword and Shield as of right now. It's still a mixed bag for me, and I might hold off for a bit regarding these. We don't even know yet if there will be a third version, sequels, or remakes. Heck, we don't even know if we're going to get Diamond and Pearl remakes either. Please do it, Game Freak. I really want to visit my favorite region again. So, what do you think of Generation 8? Wilt thou soar, or wilt thou suck? Like if you think it's going to be the very best, like no one ever was. Or dislike if you're one of those National Dex memers. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to share any thoughts you have on Sword and Shield. I do appreciate when I get likes and or comments, even if I don't respond to them. Oh, and don't forget, if you want to support me and my content further, why not drop me a coffee or two? Or DeviantArt points if PayPal's not an option for you. Anything that's worth something is good to me. I'll leave links to my coffee and DeviantArt pages in the description below. With that, thanks for watching, and sayonara until next time.